lovely viewer. Well, we're going to do a bit of an update today on the newly planted roses that I've done, and this is the first update. This is a rose. It's a Kordes rose, and I was at the garden centre yesterday, and I was a very naughty boy. I saw this rose, and it was probably the biggest rose, bush rose, in the garden centre. It looked absolutely amazing, teeming with buds, and it is rose sweet honey. Now I have got another sweet honey at the front of the garden that appears to be doing particularly well as well. And when I saw this, I just had to get it. It's Rose of the Year 2020, a floribunda rose. I'll include a photograph here. But yeah, I just had to get it. When I saw it, I was trying to work out where to plant it. And those of you who remember, there was a Rose Elizabeth David Austin rose planted here that was potted and just sat on the soil. Now Rose Elizabeth, it is a rose that can take part shade, and this is a particularly sunny spot. So I decided to move Rose Elizabeth onto a shadier part of the front driveway that gets morning sun. And I decided to plant this here. But I am excited about this, a lot of strong growth coming up. It just looked fantastic, I had to get it. So there's the first change there, Rose Sweet Honey. And this is another new rose that I got. I decided to get another Eden Rose 88, Pierre Da Ronsard. And I got this from C&K Jones. And I have to say, when I got it, when I opened it up, I was very happy with it. I didn't do an unboxing, but I can assure you the foliage is looking great. It had a nice tight root ball, and it was big. Here's my other Eden Rose 88 that I got from Thompson & Morgan. There they are there. That one will do perfectly well as well. But it's a rose. There's very light foot traffic here. We've got a rockery, but it will get a shed load of sun at the back of the garden here, and those roses will grow up. You'll get to see the beauty of those roses there. Pierre Da Ronsard. And this is the other change that I've done. This is the third Eden Rose 88. And as you can see, the leaves here are minuscule. I'm not sure if that's going to come out, but it was planted at the back of the house against the wall, where it got very little sunlight, and I left it there, and it was struggling. It must be 2 months behind everything else that I have, but I got it for its flowering ability, and it was struggling. I don't think it would have flowered particularly well. So for me at least, I think Pierre Da Ronsard, I think it is a rose for full sun, at least in my garden. Perhaps if I'd left it here, if I'd left it in situ a bit longer, perhaps it would have done well, but I don't think it would have flowered particularly well. So these are in baseless pots, so the roots will go down. But like I say, you're not going to get to smell these roses, but you should get to see them from my kitchen window in all their beauty. Gav, this one's for you. You wanted to see this. This is Brother Cadfael, another one I planted recently. But I have to say, I'm not sure if you're going to see that, it is infested with greenfly. Of all my roses, for some reason this one, it really has attracted the greenfly. It really has. Now, it was so infested with them aphids that I sprayed with water and washing up liquid, eco-friendly washing up liquid, and it did kind of help. But it needs doing again, because the aphids are there. But other than that, it's doing well, considering it's newly planted. So there she is. And here's another change that I've done. Again, I've been a very naughty boy. Right, here is where Eden Rose 88 was planted, against this wall that wasn't doing very well. But when I was at the garden centre yesterday, I bought another climbing rose, Galway David Austin rose. Now this rose here, it won't get any morning sun, and it will get sun from about 1 PM. And there is a tree there that will give it some shade as well, and maybe this egg chair that my wife put there yesterday, that will give it some sun. So I don't know how it's going to get on, but Galway, it is a rose that I've heard many people say it performs very well, and it is a rose that they say can take part shade. So we will see how that gets on. But for me, Eden Rose 88 in that shady position throughout the morning, it wasn't doing it for me. But in fact, whilst I'm here, I want to talk to you about this. This is rose Boscobel, and this is a 12 litre pot, sorry, 15 litre pot. Now I dug it up over the winter, and when I dug it up, the root ball, it was still intact, obviously a lot bigger, but it was still intact. And when I saw the root ball, I decided to plant it. Now this was planted out the front. This will be its 3rd summer. Now I have got 2 more Boscobels out the front that are doing fantastically well. It was with this one. But this one, it doesn't get morning sun. It gets sun from about 1 PM. And even though it is surviving, it's growing, it's not doing half as well as the ones I've got out the front. If you saw the ones out the front, they are doing amazing. But this doesn't get morning sun. And it can be a little frustrating when you see these videos of these magnificent roses. You've often got no idea how much sun they get, where the sun rises, where the sun sets. But I think possibly looking at this, it's such a vital ingredient to growing healthy roses is knowing where the sun rises, how much it sets. But this doesn't get morning sun, and I think you can see the difference. You have to just take my word for it. The ones out the front doing 3 times as well as this. So there's that. But it's good to see. It's good to see the American YouTube channels. They're putting out actual roses now. Here in the UK, it's still a waiting game, but it's good to start to see some actual roses now. Oh, in fact, let me show you this very quickly. This is fantastic Japanese pearl bush in all its glory. Once flowering, and it just looks fantastic. A real feature in my garden at the moment. Looks absolutely fantastic. Wild tulips getting ready to open. They open during the day and then they close again during the night, like a pink and a lovely yellow in there. It's doing very well. Right, Gav, this is the other one you wanted to see, Roald Dahl. Planted probably September, was it? Something like that. Last year, so newly planted. This isn't black spot. This is, we've had high winds and the leaves, they sometimes snag. So that's not black spot. I didn't get black, this is a very healthy rose. I didn't get black spot on this until, well, I plucked the leaves. I ended up plucking the leaves in February because the leaves were all still perfectly fine December, January time. They look very, very healthy. And I'll always try and, in my garden, I'll always give you a time to tell you when the leaves start to fall. Because you know, if you see leaves in January, February time that look healthy, you know it's going to be a healthy rose. And Roald Dahl is certainly a very healthy rose. And like I say, with this one, it was February. I ended up plucking the leaves off. but buds, many buds coming through now. There's buds coming through on most of my roses now, I think. Most of my roses have buds, but it's still that waiting game. Just waiting for it to come through. I did injure myself last week. I was doing weeding, gardening, and I was just bending down, light weeding. That's all with a trowel. And I had to keep straightening out my back, and it was starting to ache. And I know now that was the warning sign as I was straightening it. I had to keep standing up. And then I went down to just do a tiny weed, and boom, that's it. My back, it went, it put me out of action, and I've been unable to do anything, unable to weed or anything this last week. I'm hoping to get out on Monday. On Monday I'll probably do some more weeding. But look, let me show you this here. This here is Rose Elizabeth. This is the one that I move around the front, and I have noticed that the foliage on here, the veins, it's got like very deep veins. It's unusual. It's nothing like I've got on any other of my roses. If you see here, this is lark ascending, and you see the foliage is kind of smooth. Rose Elizabeth, the foliage is it definitely looks almost wrinkled. It's not a good or a bad thing. I think it's just a characteristic of this rose. It's just a different kind of foliage I'm seeing. In fact, talking of foliage, let me just show you, because foliage is all that's all I have in my garden at the moment. This here is Spicy Parfuma Kordes rose from the Parfuma collection. I'm not sure what the American name would be, but of all my roses, this is my favourite foliage. Magnificent sort of foliage. It's starting to green up now, but it has been the brightest of red. Spicy Parfuma. I wish I knew the American name. Maybe if I find it out, I'll put it down the bottom. But I've said before, in this country, the Parfuma collection from Kordes, we keep it simple. Lovely Parfuma. In America, they change it to Summer Romance. That's doing well. But Spicy Parfuma, very, very good. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, there's two things that I want to show you. Yeah, when I know there's a couple of people out injured at the moment. I'm out with this back. Davina, I think she's looking at getting her cast redone because she was too busy. So we've got to take it easy. And you know, I'm certainly at an age where you know, I'm not getting younger anymore. It sounds extreme, but I might even have to start doing some exercises before I go out gardening, some stretching. Like this here is the offcut of that Rose Elizabeth. Look at that, done fantastically well. So Jason, if you're watching, if you want me to send this to you, I will. It's not something I've propagated. When I bought the David Austin rose, the bud union unusually was buried beneath the soil, and this stem was coming from it, and it has the most fantastic root ball in its own right. So maybe that is a benefit of burying the bud union, because this has got fantastic roots. It's in full sun, and as you can see, it's doing fantastically well. So Jace, if you want this, let me know. How I'll get it to you, I don't know, but I'm sure we can sort that out. But I'm pretty sure that will do well. This here, my wife's put this down, going all the way around the garden. I need to do some digging around that side. It's recycled rubber, but I need to dig all of that. But I think this is going to go. Now we've laid it, it cost a fortune, but I think this is going to go. And I think we're going to be looking for something more natural looking, willow or something. But she's put it all the way round. And the last thing, I want to do this before I forget. Darren Harwood, he put out a video a little while ago about his rose feed, what he feeds his roses. Here it is. And when I saw the video, I went out and I bought what he uses. I ordered it from Wilco's, and enough to feed all of my roses. I then found out it was meant to be delivered by Hermes. And Hermes, I've said before, the courier company in my area, they are useless. They are absolutely useless. And of course it didn't turn up. So I ended up eventually getting a refund, and I went to the garden centre and I bought this stuff. It's like a granular sort of feed. So I fed all my roses now with that, like a full handful for each rose that's in the ground. Climbing roses, I've given two decent handfuls. I cleared the wood chip away, or the first inch of soil away. Then I scattered the rose feed around the base. Then I put the wood chips back and then gave it a good watering. But that is what I have used this year, the David Austin stuff. You know, when you're talking about having so many roses, it can work out very expensive. So I've gone with that Westland stuff for this year. But that is where we are at, lovely viewer. It's Easter Sunday tomorrow. The weather's meant to be fantastic. It's meant to be good all weekend. So I hope people are out in their gardens, but take it easy. You know, these injuries, they can happen, and I am proof of that. And that is just from, you know, bending over to do some minor weeding. So yes, maybe some stretching exercises is what I need. Right, lovely viewer, there's the update, and I hope you have a lovely Easter weekend.